Welcome to the Minds of E-commerce podcast, where you'll learn one key strategy that made leading e-commerce companies grow exponentially. We cut the bullshit and keep the meat. In a 15-minute episode, founders and executives take us through a deep dive of a strategy so you get to learn and grow your online sales. In the last episode, you heard from Gary Nealon of RTA Cabinet Store, who shared with us how he scaled the company to $40 million a year in online sales through a pretty genius social media strategy. Today, on episode number 2, Cathryn Lavery, co-founder of BestSelf Co, will share how she utilizes user-generated content to disarm objections, drive engagement, and build an 8-figure e-commerce brand. A quick disclaimer, BestSelf has worked with SplitBase for conversion optimization. I'm your host, Raphael Paulin-Daigle, and I'm the founder of SplitBase, a conversion optimization agency for lifestyle and fashion brands. Get ready? This is Minds of E-commerce. All right, Cathryn, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here. So as you know, this Minds of E-commerce podcast is all about diving straight into your business and really trying to understand one key strategy so our listeners can get the most value right away. And now, to get us to some context, when did you launch BestSelf? Because you've had some pretty crazy growth.
We launched in 2015 on Kickstarter, and our e-commerce store launched January 1st, 2016. So
Amazing.
We wanted to launch like new year, new business, new online store.
And you didn't even have like a Shopify store from the get-go, which is even crazier.
Right.
Awesome. Now, the reason I'm asking this is because I really wanted people to understand the growth you've had. You said, just a few years, and now tell us more about the growth. I know you've got some juicy stats and numbers to give us. So go ahead.
So when we launched January 1st, 2016, we did over 2 million the first year, close to 3, and we won the Build a Business competition. So the Shopify, where they basically pick the top stores. We won actually the People's Choice Award. So we got into the top sales-wise, and then there was 5 of us that sort of, had to get the most votes possible. So we're like, okay, this is our job for the next week. So we end up winning, and then 2017, we scaled a ton. So we like 4x the business in a year, less than a year. And so it was funny because Shopify announced their Build a Bigger Business. And so these were for like already existing businesses,
right,
and how much they scaled over like the 9 months time that the competition was running. So we went from like winning, brand new business award to winning the scaling award, because when we started, we scaled so much. And then we're at like 8 figures in revenue.
Fantastic. So just a few years, 8 figures. Obviously, you've done lots of things right on a growth perspective. And I mean, that's why we're talking now. I want to know more about some of those strategies. And before the recording, you told me that one of the key strategies for that growth was user-generated content that drives engagement. So, right off the bat, what is that? Tell us more about that strategy.
So that didn't actually start as a strategy. That started as, we have a community of people that we started from our Kickstarter of, okay, let's have a group of people where they can talk about how they're using the product to get the most out of it. So for reference, it's the Self Journal. So we're thinking, okay, in normal life, like people aren't really like going to a bar on Friday and talking about their goals. Maybe Raphael and me would do that, but like generally that's not what people do. And so this became like this community of people that would talk about what they're working on and help each other out. And so it became super engaged. At the start, we were in there all the time, and now it's become like this self-engaging thing where we jump in. I'm actually going to do a Facebook Live after that, but it's kind of takes care of itself. So what I was trying to do with the product is, a lot of times when we market a product, we're trying to get someone to buy it once. And with our first product, we were trying to get people to buy every 3 months, which means they have to consume it, use it, find value in it, hopefully like reach a goal with it. And so I'm thinking, okay, how do we do something where we can keep people engaged and give them something for actually consuming the product? So we created this challenge inside of our community where my goal was, let's make them build a habit, find success with the product, and then they'll come back and buy more. What happened was we created this challenge where we're saying, okay, do your daily ritual every day. Either take a picture or post it on social media and tag us, or just post it privately in the group and do it for 30 days. And if you do it, we'll give you a $10 Amazon gift card. So it's essentially like, here's a rebate for actually using the product that you bought, which, the whole goal of buying something is usually to use it. And for us, sometimes people would get it and be like, oh, it's too pretty, I don't want to write in it. And so you really try to motivate people to actually use it. And actually, with the Shopify competition, that was another thing. That's how it started. Toby was saying that they were trying to think of, okay, how do we get people to get off their ass and do something rather than just like constantly dream up this business. So they created this prize that would inspire people to take action because it wasn't something that you could just buy. So for us, it was like, okay, how do we just give people a reward for using the product? And what happened was we got a ton of user-generated content. So people were like posting how they were using it. And we spent, thousands of dollars on really amazing product photography where everything's perfect, hired like an illustrator to do something really pretty and looked great, but it didn't convert like someone really using the product would, because then it's like, oh, people go on Facebook and they're there to like talk to their friends and like have an organic connection with people. Unlike a lot of entrepreneurs, they go on there and they're seeing ads and things like that. So people have become accustomed to like switching off their brains when they see pretty images, but keeping them on when they see, like a crappy cell phone picture of whatever. So we realized when we were getting all this customer generated content, people were consuming the product, which meant they were actually building a habit and they would need to buy another one. They were creating content so that we could use it in ads, and also we could see how people were using it. Other people with similar goals could see how other people were using it, so they don't just start with this like blank slate where they're not sure what they're doing. So it ended up creating a whole kind of ripple effect of great things. But it started as this idea of, okay, let's create a challenge that makes people consume a product. And then what we realized is like people love customer generated content.
Right. That's awesome, because you already have a product where is ideal for, an extensive lifetime customer value. Lifetime. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're getting people to buy 4 journals a year or something like that, if they really want to track their goals and track their progress. So you're kind of creating this addictive feeling that, hey, I need this for my productivity. And it's also a fantastic product. Right now, to really kickstart that engagement, what you wanted to do, because some people were not sure how to use it, you really made sure that the community would teach itself how to use the product. And it seems to have worked pretty well. And you're saying, with all the people are ignoring that content much less than the stuff you would produce as a company. Right? Yeah. So I'm interested in, go ahead.
So for us, not every product is ideal to create a community around, but if there is a place where you can provide some sort of extra value for a customer, it just makes sense to do so, because it separates you from a lot of other products. And then we've seen other companies come out and try to do the same type of community feel, but it hasn't been as engaged as our group has. And I think it's because we have a lot of people in there, like all over the world and the country, who are really in there giving value and sharing what they're working on, sharing what works. And it's not just about the product. So people say, oh, I came in for this like $30 journal and I end up getting this whole other community that I didn't expect.
Which is, another bonus add-on to the purchase at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in knowing, when did you realize you needed that community? Was it in the very, very beginning, or was the company big enough already, above 1 million, let's say, and you were starting to think, hey, what are the other strategies that we can get people to buy our products? When did that strategy started to I'm eating my words right now, but starting to appear?
So we actually started the community right at the same time we had our Kickstarter, or right after, I can't remember exactly, but it was around that time, but we didn't really know what we were going to do with it. It wasn't until kind of organically developed into something. Honestly, at first it was like, back our Kickstarter and you also get access to the community, but did we know what the community was? No. So it ended up working out because we did put a lot of time and work into cultivating that initial stage, because I don't know about you, but I'm a part of like so many groups where nothing's going on, and you really have to work to get that initial engagement. But if you have something that sort of hits people a certain way, you can definitely create it, and then you'll figure out, how you can make it work for your business later.
Right.
If you're adding a ton of value, you're just really making people feel, I know. As I learn more about, product experience, one thing is the product. Like, if you want to create an experience, you really have to, like, the first step is like how something looks and feels.
Yep.
And the second part is ease of use. So does someone need to read instructions? How easy is it for someone to be able to start using the product? And then the third part is like how it like attaches to your identity. So for us, journal, goal setting, you're the type of person who sets goals and achieves them. That's a kind of a type of person, and you want to be kind of known for that because that's part of your identity. The middle part is really where a lot of people don't focus on, because what's like the first 10 minutes after someone buys your product look like? And so for us, if we wanted to keep people rebuying, it wasn't just about like selling them once. It's like, how do we make sure that they're successful with the tool and the product? So I think if you put a lot of time and effort and energy and create content and answer questions and make it as easy as possible for people to find success with your product, then it's much easier to keep people coming back, because you've done that hard work of not just selling someone and hoping they come back and rebuy, but being like, here's the product, also here's how to use it, and here's every single resource you might need to find success with it. And then you don't have that overwhelm, especially with our product, that someone gets it and they're just like, where do I start? Because we're trying to make it as easy as possible so that they actually start it, do what the product's supposed to do, hit their goal, and then they'll be like, oh, this product's great, and they come back and do more. And we've also given the product away for free. So that was another big thing. Is, I know people were like, you shouldn't do that, that's insane, but we give away a free PDF copy of the product. And we did that because we're like, okay, not everyone can maybe afford to buy it. Right. And we really want to make the resource available. And what we find out is like, people will print it at home, and people have printed it, find a ton of value, hit their goal, and then come back and actually bought the product on our store, because we're just like, oh, it actually worked. And our returns are like less than 1%, because we also let people try the product. We're not like trying to trick them into, buying this product and then making it hard to return. It's like, here's the product, and people tend to use it until the actual product arrives. And then, you are giving it away for free, but if you can create that like brand experience and product experience with the actual product, then I'm not really concerned about, is everyone going to buy that downloads it? Right. No, definitely not. But it was a great lead magnet. We were getting at some point like 1,000 people a day putting their email in and getting it. And then they were put into a flow sequence of, okay, and a lot of people bought from there and some people didn't, but a lot of people find value from giving it away for free. And I think it created a lot of like reciprocity in people's mind of like, oh, they're standing behind their product enough that they're going to show us what it is before I have to buy it.
That's amazing. That's actually another second incredibly valuable strategy, because what you've done is you took something that looked risky, so giving away your product for free, but technically you're not really, you're not losing money on it.
Yeah.
You're not actually sending a journal for free. You're giving them a PDF version. And at the end of the day, it's something that anyone can replicate, right? If they see your journal online, somebody took a picture, they could write it down on their own piece of paper and fill it out, right? So what you've done is you've used that opportunity to realize, hey, we're not losing money on this. This is something that's available to anyone, right? It's not a structure that, it's not a secret of the gods or anything like that. If you buy the product, you see what's in it. But you've used this to get people familiar and engaged with your brand. And eventually, you got those people that were, likely not ready to buy now to just engage and become a fan of BestSelf. And that made them, eventually buy the product, which is awesome. And then, that really, I'm guessing the same people probably ended up being in the community and engaging with each other. And then, obviously people don't want to stand alone in the corner by themselves. So they want to be part of something. So then buying the journal is probably the next logical thing for them to do. I'd love to know, in this journey of building a community, it seems like it's never too late for a company to do so. And you're mostly doing it with one particular product more than, every single product you have. So it's super interesting. But what are some of the mistakes that companies usually do when building a community like that? Because you've done it well, and you said it yourself, you're part of tons of groups where like nothing really happens, and it's just like, it's probably not successful. And I'm sure a lot of companies would just be like, hey, let's create a group because apparently we need to create one and we're going to have all of our customers in one spot. Now, the contrast is you guys have actually done it right. So what puts you apart from the other companies that haven't been so successful at it?
So for us, I think putting in the time and work at the beginning to get engagement, and then also having pretty strict rules about, because once you have a pretty good level of engagement in there, you have people that are trying to like promote their own stuff, and it's like not adding value to the group. So you have to have a sort of strict guidelines about that, and then putting effort into what content you're creating. And then we also have a community manager that like is in there answering people's questions and giving a lot of value. So it's not like set it and forget it. So you're not like setting it up, maybe doing a little hard work at the start, but doing the hard work at the start. And then, I'm not in there that much because I have a lot of other stuff going on, but I do pop in there every now and again.
Right.
But we do have moderators and community managers in there. They're, checking in on things. And again, strict guidelines, having their job is to keep it engaged and to create content that is engaging. And for us, we became, we started as like this one product, and then we created other products. And then our goal was to switch, which we have done, is like, okay, we're not a product company, we're a problem company. So what problem are we solving? Sometimes that's with a product, sometimes it's with community, sometimes it's with content that's free, but not everything has to be a sold product. You can solve a lot of problems. So you don't need to create useless products in the world to solve a problem that can be done online. So that's another thing, is like, just because you can't sell it doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Right. That's so key, because at the end of the day, what you're building, like you said, it's a brand, right? It's not just a product. And at the end of the day, if you can keep those customers engaged with the brand, as you release products, well, so will your business grow as long as people are there and they're motivated. So at least I'm guessing your cost of customer acquisition and that way, goes way down, lifetime value goes up, and you're benefiting in so many ways. Now, what I'd be interested in learning, and this is one of my last questions, if you were to start this all over again, this whole community aspect, what would you do differently?
What I do differently? So like you said the community was focused around one product.
Yeah.
Which it seems to be. We're trying to, now that we have more products, we want it to be more BestSelf, multiple products. And I don't think that we've taken enough time and energy and like attention to like, okay, what are we creating for the other products to help people be more engaged? Because actually a bunch of the new products have an 84% new customer. So these are people that haven't previously bought the other product,
right?
But we still want to engage them in content and like what other problems are they having that we can help with. And I think that's actually going to be on my to-do list after this, is like, what can we do? What intentional actions can we do when we're introducing a new product to maybe introduce a new challenge to the community or to have more engagement, so that it's not just like the journal and then other stuff.
Awesome. Now, that's super awesome. You've said so much value. I'm thinking of all the things we've gone through in this like short 15 minutes. I have one more question because I really want to hear the answer for this one, because you've grown from 7 figures to 8 figures really quickly. Now, if there's a retailer right now listening to this who's in the 7 figures, about to cross 8 figures, what is your biggest piece of advice for them? Because you've had to learn it on the fly really quickly. What would you tell them?
Hire great people. Hire great people and make sure that they know how to be successful in their job. So we've like learning how to manage people and hire people. Like this is a whole other, I came from I was, 6 years ago I was an architect, and,
right.
Then I was product designer, and I've had businesses, but it's been like me and a couple of people. When you start hiring a team, you start realizing the difference, the leverage that a player can make and actually take stuff off your plate rather than like a C person that's sort of adding to your plate. So I would say hire great people and then figure out what they're really great at and what you're really great at, and then try to only spend time doing the things that you're great at. So that, for me, it's like creating products. And if someone else on my team, their energy is from like creative marketing, but they're stuck doing SOPs. Like that's not a good use of my resources paying them. And so just be really thoughtful with who you hire and then how you have them spending their time. Like typically in businesses, you have to get approval to spend, $500, right? But you don't have to get approval to take 10 people into a meeting for an hour. That is just like an energy and time suck. And that's more than $500 for these people to be here that they could not, it's not only, it's an opportunity cost, but it's also like you're sucking the energy out of them if they don't need to be there. So just like great people doing the stuff that they like to do and making sure that you know them as people, so you know how to motivate them. Some people are motivated by money, some people are motivated by other things, and you just have to figure out what that is and how you can craft an environment to keep them happy while they're actually doing their job.
Amazing. Hire people to take things off your plate, not to add things on your plate. Cathryn, that was a fantastic series of answers from you. Just to recap for everyone who's listening, if we really look at the main action items and the main things that Cathryn has done to grow BestSelf to an 8-figure plus business, we're looking at utilizing user-generated content, right? So encouraging customers to take pictures of themselves with the company's products, to share their own thoughts on the products and really post that online. And then as a company, using that content on product pages in social media as a more authentic, so to speak, way of converting customers instead of, just using highly produced materials. So that's one. Now they've also utilized community as a way to get people engaged with the brand. So here we're talking about, Facebook groups and asking questions and being very highly active with the moderation of that group and making sure that people get value every single time that they're engaging in there. And scaling that group, beyond just a product, but, like you said, Cathryn, it's really about looking at what is the goal and the ethos of the company and how can we get people really engaged with that. And finally, hiring great people is absolutely key. Make sure you hire people so you can get things off your plate, not so you have to babysit them as you scale. So hire people that you will need in, a few months and a few years from now, not just people that you need now. And one thing that I remembered that's super awesome is, think of ways that you can engage, you can get your people, your community, your customers, or people that are hesitant to buy, engage with your brand to kind of warm them up and become customers like BestSelf has done by giving away a copy of the free journal as a PDF download. So then people would get engaged with it and eventually, through an email sequence and marketing would eventually end up buying the product. So Cathryn, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the Minds of E-commerce podcast. And can't wait to hear more and see what you're going to do next with the growth.
Great. Thanks, Raphael.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, that's it for today's episode. In the next episode, you'll hear from Audrey Castonguay, who's the co-founder and CEO of Wholesome Culture. And you'll learn how she tests new products, doubles sales with existing ones, and how she uses her rule of one to keep growing past millions of dollars in sales a month. To make sure you don't miss any of the new episodes, subscribe to the podcast. And if you've liked what you've heard, make sure to leave a review in the iTunes store. That would really mean the world to me. Now, if you're working on an e-commerce store that does over $1 million a sale in a year, and increasing conversions is currently a priority, make sure to go to splitbase.com/assessment. Again, that's splitbase.com/assessment. to get a free analysis of your website and find out what's the #1 action item our conversion experts recommend you do next to boost your conversions. If you have any guest requests, questions, or comments, just tweet me at rpaulin-daigle. That's RPAULINDAIGLE, and I'll be super happy to hear from you. Thanks again for listening. This is Minds of E-commerce.